Welcome everyone, another episode of the Plastic Art Podcast, the show where we break down the video game news of the week. My name is Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev extraordinaire, and starting his OnlyFans page soon, Gavin Jones. Gavin, how the hell are you?
Quick with that one. See the inspiration where that came from.
I'm working on it.
I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing all right. I'm hoping that that OnlyFans thing takes off and maybe I can pay I don't know, a cell phone bill or like taxes on groceries. I don't know what I could actually, what income I could generate from that, or who's interested.
I'll be your make it sad when I am your only fan.
Yeah. No. And that picture I sent you too, it's like I was trying to flex and I even cut off the bicep in the picture. It's like I'm terrible at this. That's the money shot right there, and I couldn't handle it. How you been all week?
Been good. Just keeping right busy, but getting lots of stuff done. What is the shirt of yours?
The shirt, it's from Doctor Who.
Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah,
it's one of their like a video game version.
Yep, it's like an 8-bit. That's when I was getting super hard into Doctor Who. Although I've missed out on like the past 2 good seasons. I know when not the Scottish dude, or he's not Irish. What is he? The older Doctor Who took over. He was really dope, but at some point in that season, I just drifted off. And they have the new female Doctor, which seems pretty neat, but I just haven't jumped back in.
See, now I can't remember if he's Scottish or what I think he is just a really angry English dude.
Yeah, I don't think he's not Irish.
Correct. He's I don't know if that's racist to say, but he's so angry. He sounds Scottish.
Yeah, I don't know. You could say it. I can't say it, but yeah, you're the one.
There we go. I mean, I am half Scottish, but I don't think I don't think enough to get away with saying shit. So, no one's gonna claim me as their own in that case. 23andMe my ass.
Did you ever have any interest in doing the 23andMe stuff?
I mean, both my sisters did it, so at that point I don't need to. If I just combine that's me. So
what did they find? Anything juicy? Any interesting stuff?
We are half Irish, half Scottish, which is
so your standard white person genetics there.
Well, it's interesting from the concept of there's a lot of Scottish people get annoyed when they get called Irish.
Okay.
Because people can't really tell the two apart. Or a lot of like Americans can't, so it finds them annoying. So the fact that I'm half and half is like, well, you're right. One way or the other, take a guess. But
yeah, I'm always tempted to try that just because I'm hoping there's something cool in my genetic, timeline or whatever. But I'm sure there's nothing extraordinary.
The thing that's interesting is to see sort of some of the stuff in there that it picks out that's very individually to your genetics, and they're getting really good at kind of narrowing in on this stuff. Like my cousin did it, and something that was kind of neat. So he's always been astoundingly skinny. The guy could eat 3,000 calories a day, wouldn't gain a pound. The only time he ever got
I hate him already.
He was so proud when he was an alcoholic, he finally got love handles, and he was so proud. And the second when he quit, he lost it all in like a week. But he's always been so skinny, and sort of like we didn't know, like, was it because he was a preemie, and he was very, very premature. And so I didn't know if that kind of affected him that way. And it turns out no, like his just genetics he's always going to be skinny, but he can put on muscle super quick. He doesn't bulk up crazy, but like he can still lift more than I can even after I've been working out for a while. So it's just weird things like that. Or my sisters, like they're sort of like insomnia and stuff with them. So these interesting medical things that it can pick out, which is pretty cool. So I'd be curious to know, is the giant penis genetic? Is that where it's just no, but it would be neat to see something like that and being able to see maybe what if there's something you don't know.
There is health benefits you can find if you're predisposed, I guess, to whatever health stuff. I've heard that. I'm hoping that they can pinpoint and like add genes. Like I wouldn't mind that skinny gene for sure if you can like somehow just get in there and fuck with my DNA and just throw things in there, see what works.
I'd be curious because people talk about that whole CRISPR technology, and I'd be very curious to know how much we can actually mess with that. That seems so much like you look at like people getting a stomach bypass or whatever that is, like where or the bands or whatever. It seems like
Mhm.
if we could just do some crisping stuff, that might be a much more safer way. But at the same time, I don't know how easily you can just give someone cancer by doing that.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's that's always going to be my concern for a good long time.
Yeah, you don't want to be the first, round of testing in that. So you want to make sure that they've
Yeah.
developed that for. Well, but once they do, because I've heard that technology, that CRISPR stuff, once that finally becomes like a mainstream thing, that's such a can of worms. Like now messing with genetics, and if you can do it, is it in real time or it's like the next, like you can just change the genetics in your offspring kind of thing.
I think so, to my understanding, and the one per watch the one person watching this know about it and just be fuming. But to my understanding, you can literally change the DNA of someone alive. So it's not like what was that
Hmm.
movie? Gattaca, the fucking phenomenal movie. If
Okay.
you haven't seen it, required viewing. Um, but that was one of the things is they have all the future children, they basically make them all have they're editing their genes so they're all amazing. And then it's sort of this
Gotcha.
weird world where like this one guy wants to go to space, but he can't because he's not gene edited. He just kind of passed the barrier on that one. So
Right.
it'd be interesting going into that world, but this is a little bit better if we can just fix people or
Yeah.
to a certain degree or whatever you want to consider fix. There was, people, it's interesting to see people with like disabilities and how they take some of that stuff and don't want it. And it's sort of at least have that option is cool, I think, for people.
Right, 100%. Yeah, it's just it's very strange once you do open that door. It's like you can't close that box once it's open. It's going to be a different world for sure. But also
Yeah.
we're in a time where it's like why not? Because everything else we've got death hornets or whatever the fuck is going on there and cronuts, like just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. But I'd welcome it. Yeah.
Yeah, give me that skinny jean, man. What have you
It
been playing this week?
For some reason I started playing Team Fight Tactics again.
Okay.
And I finally starting to get it. It's finally not as random as it was. So I really do wonder those random games where I did win, like maybe I was accidentally using proper tactics, but I was just trying to make pretty patterns, and it just so happened to line up. I still
Huh.
really don't know a lot of the times. There's some times where I'm losing and I really don't know why, or I'm winning and I don't necessarily know why. I can only kind of only have an idea. When I just look at like the enemy team, I'm just I I think I beat that. No, okay. So, but
Yeah.
it's just kind of fun matching stuff. Again, it's I think I described it once to you on a hike. It's kind of just a roulette machine, the game. It's but that's fun. Or what am I trying to say? The boxes. It's loot boxes, the game, but you don't have to spend money on it. So it's just that's the gameplay. And I think that's kind of fun now that I kind of get it. And then
Gotcha.
uh, Deus Ex, Revolution, which the first time I played it, I didn't like it at all. I got
Right.
lost. I got super fucking lost, and I was angry at how lost I was. Which now that I'm playing it, I think I don't know. I don't know how I got lost before. Like the icons on the screen are huge. Did I just turn off my quest markers or did I not
Hmm.
know about them? I definitely played on console last time. I used GameFly to play it last time.
Dang.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Uh and
That was
I
the
think
precursor to Netflix, right? Because that's where you can actually rent the disc and they would send it to you.
was that before Netflix?
Well, I think they did the game thing before Netflix for sure, and then Netflix, said hold my beer and just like took over. But because I remember commercials for GameFly, they were the biggest one for sure, or at least out of the gate, more well known. But I do remember them more than Netflix at that time. But
I wonder if they were first.
I feel like they were at least more well known.
Huh. Um but yeah, and I also think the resolution or the POV on uh console was a lot tighter and it made it
Mm,
harder to kind of see her. But now I'm playing it, I'm loving it. It's scratching that cyberpunk itch that
right.
I needed. But it's like you said, we kind of texted about it a little bit this weekend. The shooting kind of sucks. You have to play like an absolute coward, and I have defensive upgrades, and I still die almost instantly,
Mm,
even taking half damage. So it's basically get yourself retreat, try and line up a headshot, and if you didn't make that headshot, retreat again. Um, so I don't know who
Gotcha.
that gameplay is for. Hopefully they
Yeah.
fixed it in the sequel because I want to play. That's what I'm playing this one because I want to play the sequel. I hear the sequel is really good. Um, was it Mankind Divided? But
Is that the more recent one? And that might have been the one that I tried. It was on PS4, I believe, the one that I tried. But I forget.
it may have been that one.
Yeah, there's
I don't
something
know. I
about
hear that one's
the.
more polished.
It's possible. There's something about that whole universe they've created where it's really cool visually, but there's not a soul to me that I latch on to. There's not enough like interest there for that ever like or that ever caught my interest. Rather, it's like it's cool, it's sci-fi, but it's never was unique enough to me for some reason. I don't know if I'm just an outlier there, but
No, I think that I think it's really hit or miss, and which makes me, and that's why I was kind of worried with Cyberpunk coming up because you know, it's like, if I didn't like that, will I not like Cyberpunk? And then I go back and play it, and it's like, all right. But I think Cyberpunk, now that I'm playing this, I think Cyberpunk is probably going to be more action oriented if you want it. This
yeah.
game isn't supposed to be action oriented. That's the way I'm playing it though, because I don't give a fuck. And it works that way. It actually works pretty good. But yeah, we'll see. Which I'm gonna put a note in here to mention something about Cyberpunk in there later on.
Gotcha.
Um, but what have you been playing?
Not a crazy amount of stuff, really. I think I did jump in to try that. Once you mentioned that Fortnite concert thing, I went and watched, the Fortnite party. I thought it was something else because I know last week or weeks before they announced just like a separate island that was devoid of combat. It was just like a place to hang out. And I thought that's what they were promoting, but no, it was like an actual concert with Dead Mouse and a couple other Steve Aoki, a couple other like DJ dudes, and yeah, it was cool watching that. But yeah, I got to try, like I mentioned, a game I can't mention, but it's like a test program through Xbox where you can test out a game and you give your feedback, and that's been pretty interesting to try that for the first time. And it's online. I guess they usually do it because since we're in Washington State, they usually hold them in Redmond or somewhere in the Northwest. But because they can't with Corona, they're outsourcing it. So you actually download the game through the Xbox Game Hub, which is like a separate app thing, and you get to try it and give feedback, and it's interesting.
It probably is Redmond too, because that's where the Microsoft campus is.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if whatever they decide on their end, I get a cool Amazon gift card or a hat or something for my time, but we'll see what I actually get. A lollipop? I don't know.
Can you use? Oh, never mind. I'm an idiot. I was about to ask if you can use Amazon gift cards on Stadia games, but not the same people.
Nope. No, they would slap it out of your hand if you try to do that, I'm
sure. Don't give me these Bezos bucks or whoever the guy is.
Bezos bucks, I'll take a couple. But I did try, this isn't like I wasn't a lot of game related stuff this week, but I did try more like painting my controller. So I bought a bunch of eBay, a bunch of broken PS4 controllers and cases, and just like kind of Frankensteining them together to make a usable controller. And then I take off the shell again and then paint it. So I'm experimenting with just like cool effects, and it's fun. I do like to paint in general, so I'm just like trying to create a glossy coat that's even and modify colors and all that. And it's a whole world. Like if you go on eBay, you can find all these different mods for controllers and glow in the dark thumbsticks and LED mods, and like it's a whole world that I knew about, but I didn't realize like how deep it is, and there's all kinds of stuff out there.
Are you interested in modding it a little bit, adding some like glowing sticks or whatever?
I'm thinking about it. At the moment, I'm just painting, but like it'd be cool to actually add some LEDs. And there's also terrible controls you can find with like people have taken. It's not real bullets, but it's like bullet-looking buttons for your controller. It just looks like garbage, or like, or
probably don't feel good under your thumbs.
No, I can't imagine so. Or just like your whole controller can look like a weed plant. It's like there's all this, or Hello Kitty. It's like there's a lot of these generic stuff you can create, but also there's
Hello Kitty at least looks like an upside down controller.
Yeah. You could make something there, yeah. But yeah, just messing around with that. My goal is to make some kind of hodgepodge looking DualShock or DualSense with a DualShock 4, like make it look like that color wise. And so that's what I'm experimenting right now, to make it look like that controller, to see how it would visually stand out. Yeah.
Are you gonna try using any like Bondo to build up on it at all, or any sort of stuff like that?
No, it's a good point.
Maybe not Bondo. Maybe some sort of other whatchamacallit.
Yeah, there is stuff like that. Yep, there's like car related stuff where you can create, plastics that will like physically increase the size. You can do that, but I don't know if that's might be above my mental capacity. But yeah,
I
it
think
won't be a controller anybody wants to play, but it could be technically a controller.
at that point, once you've done that, you officially need to get into cosplay because you're like
Yeah,
some of
I'm
those
dancing
skills are
around it.
applicable. Yeah. Although you'd have to pick up sewing at one point, which I don't know if that
Yeah, I don't know. I can never understand a sewing machine. So
right? It's weird black magic. I was watching
yeah,
yeah, I saw a cosplay stream when she was doing something. I remember she sewed up a bit, sewed up another bit, sewed up another bit, and then tore out that first bit. And that was all planned.
wow,
And I that just blows my mind that you would sew something up to tear it out.
yeah, it's nuts.
What does it mean?
Yeah, it's next level stuff. Well, beyond that, I was just watching, a lot of game stuff. Like I got to watch that Xbox 2020 event. We can transition to that too. So some of the game news. So yeah, the Xbox 2020 event happened. I have a recap here from GameSpot. Jeremy Winslow has the details. Microsoft's Inside Xbox live streamed the first in a series of Nintendo Direct style presentations the company calls Xbox 2020 went live last Thursday morning. The game lineup included the recently announced Assassin's Creed Valhalla, as well as other third-party game reveals like the FPS Bright Memory Infinite, which I think is a terrible name. That's one game, Dirt 5, and more. The live stream featured developers talking about how they are leveraging the power of the Xbox Series X, confirmation of games that will use Microsoft's Smart Delivery service, and more. Despite the number of games on display, however, there was a little traditional gameplay shown for some of the most anticipated titles, which instead relied on cinematic camera angles and other in-engine footage. Xbox marketing GM Aaron Greenberg acknowledged that fans' expectations may have been set higher than was appropriate because of his team's messaging. Yeah, how did you feel? There was some drama with what they actually showed versus the hype to the event.
Right, right. And I think it's good that they said, it would have been nicer beforehand if they said, "Oh, it's not really going to be gameplay." But I am glad that they at least acknowledged that. Although it seems like Ubisoft kind of threw them under the bus a little bit before they acknowledged that, which I don't really blame them. It's interesting knowing that the message was out there, so they almost could have gotten ahead of it and like, no, 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 it's not going to be
Right.
gameplay. But that being said, Bright Memory was I think that was that crazy first person shooter with the
Yeah, that was the
swords.
first one that went with. That actually looked really cool. It was just hard to tell what was
Yeah.
in game, footage, but it looked very
Oh,
pretty, very unique.
it's all in game. You can download it on PC right now,
Oh, okay, interesting.
and it
The
looks that good. Yeah, and it's made by one guy. Like
That's
it's
the one. You're right. Yep.
dude's nuts. But it's just a
Yeah,
demo right now. I think you can beat it in like an hour or two, but it's supposedly really fun. Um,
gotcha. What do you think about that name, Bright Memory Infinite?
when you're the only person working on a game, no one can
Sure,
tell you no.
sure, that's very true.
You're gonna make whatever super weeb ass game that you want to make, and he's making the weebiest game he can. Looks fun though. I might play it.
Yeah,
Uh,
it looks really dope. I love the idea of this. It's almost like, was it like a feudal Japanese setting? You have this laser
it's something. You still
rope
have guns
thing,
though.
but you still have guns. Yeah, and it's still
Yeah.
sci-fi. It's almost like Crisis. Like that's almost what I thought at the beginning. It's like, oh shit, are they showing some kind of new project with Crisis? But no.
Right. It to me, it looked like Crisis, uh, Bulletstorm because of the laser whip thing, and like a little bit of Red Steel had a baby. Red Steel 2
Sure.
specifically. Not that anyone remembers Red Steel. Uh,
That was the Wii game, right?
yeah, and
Mhm.
Red Steel 2 was actually super fucking dope.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's like those 3 games had a baby, and that has potential. So hopefully it's good.
Yeah, I didn't mind I didn't share the same like negative stuff with online as far as like they were building up these announcements. I feel like it was fine, especially considering like this is most likely what was supposed to be something at E3, right? This is like the third party focus part of E3 announcements, and they now offshooted it into its own thing. I feel like if this was coupled with their big announcements with first party stuff, then it wouldn't have been as negative. But because it's its own thing, it's people kind of poo pooed it. But really, it was fine.
Yeah, yeah. It was I still think I mean Assassin's Creed gameplay or what they showed, I think that they said something along the lines of reminiscent of what gameplay will look. I really don't think it's going to look that much worse than that.
Sure.
It looked pretty doable for a next gen console. I mean, remember how good uh, Red Dead 2 looks on current gen
Oh yeah.
consoles.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Doesn't look
like,
that much better than that, if better than that. So that
yep.
should be the bar.
Yep. There was that one game too that I thought it was like some kind of Alien or Prometheus reboot, but it's called
Oh,
Score. And I want to say it was that very much, it's like HR Geiger, I want to say, is the artist or set designer for the original Alien. It's very much that, but but a game. It seems really terrifying, but really cool.
yeah, we don't they've been teasing that one for years now too.
Mm.
So it'll be cool.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, no, it's standard, fine. I didn't think I needed to wake up early to watch it, but it is what it is. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
I definitely didn't feel bad not watching it live.
yeah, a lot of these things you can kind of catch in clips afterwards, and that was one. There's always that fear that I have, like, oh, what if they drop some kind of crazy Kingdom Hearts exclusive to whatever, some kind of dumb announcement, but no.
Yeah.
We do have another announcement coming up soon here. This is and keeping in line with the summer of game announcements now with the E3 not being around. Ubisoft announces Ubisoft Forward digital event for July. So this is Jonathan Dornbush of IGN has the details. Ubisoft is the latest major gaming publisher or developer to announce a digital E3 replacement for its usual press conference, with the company confirming Ubisoft Forward for July. On July 12th, Ubisoft Forward will include a fully digital showcase with exclusive games, news, reveals, and more. Ubisoft did not list any games for the event as part of the initial announcement, but it already has quite a few revealed games that could be highlighted. There's, of course, the most recently revealed Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is confirmed for PS5 and Xbox Series X release, as well as current gen hardware and PC. There's also a trio of confirmed Ubisoft games: Gods and Monsters, Rainbow Six Quarantine, Watch Dogs Legion, all of which were delayed from the earlier 2020 planned release dates to accommodate next-gen launches as well. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. I imagine this is where we're going to finally see some in-game footage of Valhalla. I don't know for how long, but also these other games that they pushed, and now we'll finally see some footage.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about Gods and Monsters. I was like, "What the fuck
Yeah,
is
that
it?"
one
It's
visually
that
almost looked like
Zelda looking.
Fortnite. Yeah, with Zelda kind of stuff, but it had like a weird cartoony vibe to it.
I mean, I won't be mad at having 2 Breath of the Wilds, basically.
Yeah,
That's not
if they can match that caliber, yeah, for sure.
yeah. It's gonna be really exciting for Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Yep.
Um, those fans absolutely love that franchise. The fact that they both get to have a new entry and still get to enjoy the current Rainbow Six Siege, it's not going
Right.
away, is really cool. Um, and I know that team. I think it's the same team that's working on Siege, or
Gotcha.
part of it anyway. So it's good that that team that got to make an amazing game isn't stuck with that forever.
Right.
To my
Right. They
understanding.
can kind of switch things up and add a different kind of style with the whole zombie stuff or whatever quarantine stuff that's going on.
Yeah, yeah. So
Then you
that
got Legion too.
do we?
Well, that was the one where it seemed interesting, the fact that they were kind of promising some kind of thing where all the NPCs are playable. You can jump into them. I feel like that's a unique idea. But yeah, the franchise of Watch Dogs doesn't really hold on to me. But that new style of playing maybe seems interesting.
I heard Watch Dogs 2 was good. I can't believe the first one got a sequel though. That game was so dumb.
Yeah, yeah. It was, yeah. It seems like they really counted on that kind of succeeding, and it did. Hopefully these sell. They seem to sell, so hopefully they're unique enough to keep making them. But
I should go back into is this Watch Dogs?
Legion
'Cause
or two?
just one, because that was in
Oh,
Chicago. I wonder
right.
how much I would recognize none of that. It's just downtown Chicago.
Uh,
It's just the loop, so I'm not gonna recognize any of that, which is weird because Brandon Docks, Parker Square. There's also not.
I,
Hmm.
I know apparently the sequel in San Francisco was somewhat accurate with how they portrayed it. At least like that's how people were talking about it. But yeah, maybe not
Right.
for the Chicago setting.
I'd at least go down to Navy Pier. That's about that, and maybe I could find my old restaurant that I worked at
Oh yeah,
on that's maybe all I could find, though. And the funny thing is I'd have to ride the subway to get there. I wouldn't know how to get there in a car.
yeah.
So, that's interesting. So, it's basically just the area of Chicago that burned down during the fire. Huh.
Oh geez.
Yeah. Which
Yeah,
is
we'll see.
why, yeah.
We'll see what
Yeah,
happens with that. I do find, I mean, the hacking ability is interesting. It's a cool, mechanic to it, but really it's very much GTA style. So I mean, if they hopefully kind
yeah.
of create some kind of new path, that's where I find it could be more interesting.
That's something I will say, going back to minorly for, what's it called?
Which one are you
Deus
thinking?
Ex, playing
Oh
that,
yeah.
I feel like that's the best, hacking in a game,
Oh,
like, decidedly. Like, I've it's the most fun, it actually feels like you're doing something. That being said, I feel like if you're not gonna do that, you need to absolutely do this route that, these games have always had where you just press a button and it's done, and it's automatic, and you feel
right,
powerful with it. I think
right.
they really took a good approach.
I guess it's which kind of fantasy do you want to portray? Do you want to create the difficulty of actually compiling some kind of data to make a hack, or you
Yeah.
press a button? What about Bioshock's hacking? How'd you feel? I mean, that was kind of the peak there with that moving the liquid around and making sure it goes through the tubes. Somehow
It
that has really that has to do with like how computers work, the liquid flowing.
That's how the best hacking I've ever actually seen in game was, a side mini game from, Enter the Matrix. Um,
Oh, I think we've yeah, you've mentioned that to me. That's pretty cool. I
it
always forget about that.
shit, yeah, no, you had to figure out these passwords, it was crazy. Even with a playthrough or a guide of how to do it, it was still nuts.
You know what? I didn't mind in Fallout. You know the hacking in there where you have to kind of find the keywords. You have a certain amount of them before you kind of brick the system.
I thought that was a good system because you felt clever when you beat it.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep. And that was one of the things I'd always upgrade as soon as I could was the hacking.
Right.
Um, Leading into some of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because we're assuming they're going to show off more at this event. There was some somewhat more drama with that in the last couple of days here. So this is Ubisoft announced today that Assassin's Creed Valhalla will hit at least 30 frames per second at 4K resolutions on the Xbox Series X. So this kind of lit a fire, as the internet does with lately with like FPS and 4K and meeting those marks, and it kind of brought up the fact that maybe they'll breach it, maybe they won't, or the terminology is sketchy, but.
Mhm.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not like a size queen kind of thing when it comes to 4K stuff or frames per second. As long as it's playable and looks great, I'm cool with it. But yeah,
Right. Yeah.
some of the stuff was from. So this is that announcement from Ubisoft. This is coupled with recent tweets from Microsoft General Manager of Xbox Games Marketing, Aaron Greenberg, have started next-gen FPS drama online. So Aaron Greenberg tweeted, 60 frames per second will be the standard output, but the architecture allows us to support up to 120 frames per second, which sounds nuts, but to go further on, a senior editor at TheVerge.com's Tom Warren chimed in, Xbox Series X games won't run at 60 frames per second standard output, Microsoft tells me. Ultimately, it's up to the individual developers to determine how they leverage the power and speed of the Xbox Series X. I feel like it's almost you can't really take every phrase that comes out of Microsoft because they are trying to sell a system. It's terminology. It's like hitting these bullet points as far as like what's on a box. The details might be a bit different, but it's still fine.
Right.
But yeah, does this
Uh,
stuff bug you at all?
it doesn't bug me, but yeah, I mean, it's exactly like they said. Of It's up to the developers. They can't force them to hit these frame rates.
Right.
They can only help them basically at the end of the day. And if they don't see 60 frames per second as something that's important, then it's not going to happen. And there's really nothing Microsoft can do. The consumers can do something by not buying these games,
Sure.
but that's not going to happen. Or they'll buy the Xbox Series X Elite, or something like that. So there's only so much you can do.
Yeah. You kind of got you have to make sure the hardware's there, capable of it, and you let it go from there. I wish they wouldn't mention the whole 120 frame per second because that just that just leaves a too high of a bar to meet. It's like just keep it at 60, and then that's where the conversation can be.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of games that do it. Like I'm sure, Rocket League when it launches on that system is going to be running at that.
It's possible, yeah.
That may be a nice thing for fighting games because where input lag does matter.
Right.
Um, so there are certainly cases where, yeah, that'll be cool. And there are plenty of people that have PCs powerful enough to run these games at 120. And to them, that's the standard. I'm not convinced you can see,
Yeah.
you know, that.
It's a whole other
But
debate too. Yeah, that side of it. But yeah, I
right,
tend to agree with you on that.
but
Yeah, so as far as other stuff in the news, we got a new studio that was announced today. Former Apex Legends devs launch new anti-crunch studio. The PC Gamer, Andy Chalk from the PC Gamer has the details.
is
In
that the name of
February, no. Yeah, you think they're so anti-crunch, that's what they're calling the studio, anti-crunch. It could be a cereal as well. But so in February, Apex Legends executive producer Drew McCoy left Respawn Entertainment after a 10-year stretch that also earned him producer credits on Titanfall and Titanfall 2. He didn't say what he'd be getting up to next, but assured his followers on Twitter that he wouldn't be able to stay away from games for long. He sure wasn't kidding. McCoy and former Apex Legends lead software engineer John Shuring announced today that they've launched a new studio called Gravity Well, and that they hope to shake things up in a big budget game development. Quote, we are starting a studio because of how we want to make games. We want time to iterate on everything and get ideas and feedback from the whole team. We're building the studio to last for decades, and that doesn't happen without putting the team first, McCoy wrote. We take team health as an absolute top priority. That means we are anti-crunch. That means good compensation. That means everyone at Gravity Well has creative freedom, because when someone else makes all of the decisions, work isn't fun and the end product isn't as good. That approach to development seems to fit with McCoy's time on Apex Legends at Respawn. While Apex Games has come under fire for the brutal crunch required to support big titles or big battle royale Fortnite, Respawn has stuck to seasonal updates on Apex Legends, in part to avoid overloading and burnout of its employees. Yeah, so on paper it seems cool that they're focusing on being anti-crunch. I guess we would trust them, the fact that they've stuck their heels with releasing Apex in the way they want to, that they have that right mentality to carry that to the studio.
right, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. It I almost more wonder if they're the people that own their studio basically wouldn't let them work on something new. It just had to be Apex Legends and nothing
Sure.
else. So they said we need to form something new.
Yep.
This also, if I understand this correctly, is kind of the second time they've done this, right? Like they left and formed Respawn, I thought, and made, unless Respawn used to work on Call of Duty, but I know it was Call of Duty devs that left and worked on, or either they left or they stopped making Call of Duty and started on this. The concern I have is part of the reason Titanfall, Titanfall 2, and uh, Apex
Apex or
Legends are so good is because this is a team of triple A talent. They mean business for every employee there.
right.
So, you lose the first time, you lose some of that triple A talent, maybe when they went off to form their own studio or however that worked. You do it again, how many of these people are coming with you? Um, so it makes me nervous for them. It's not their first rodeo, so maybe they're fine. But I hope they get enough of that talent with them to keep making these incredibly polished games. They're just fucking fun, man. Like I still need to play Titanfall 2, but it's also never
Yep.
on sale.
Well, I was
Never
gonna
ever on sale.
interesting you bring that up, because it actually is on sale today. So this is I pulled this from Twitter. As far as this morning goes, so Ultimate Titanfall 2 Ultimate Edition is $449 on Xbox Live Gold, or the PC version is $299. So there's almost no excuse for us to not play Titanfall. I've always heard that Titanfall 2 is one of the best campaigns on a FPS. So it's like I need to get in there. I own it too. I just have not followed through and finished that campaign beyond like the first 20-30 minutes.
We need to race through this week, and we'll give our
Dude, I'm
impression.
down. I do need a game. I need to play that. I mean, I don't need a game, like there's so many in my backlog, but that is one that I would love to check off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's gonna be one of those two. And it's one of those, it's been enough time since I've watched, and I admittedly watched streamers play through it, that I think I've forgotten enough of it. The only thing I can't forget is the kind of the finale. Everything leading up to the finale was so fucking cool. It's not gonna leave my brain. Like it was just dope. I saw that
Nice.
and I thought I need to play the whole game to get to that. So Titanfall. I wonder if
Titanfall
it's
2.
on. See, that's actually what made me buy whatchamacallit. Um
Apex
no,
or Deus Ex?
Deus Ex was, I saw there was a sale on something and they were like, "Oh, it's like $5." I'm like, "Oh, I'll jump on." And then it wasn't on sale on Steam. So I'm like, "Shit."
Yeah.
So okay, so I can't get this on Steam. You got to get it on
Oh,
whatchama.
EA has their own, yeah, whatever it's called.
uh,
It's fine for $3. I mean, how do you beat that?
Yeah, I actually did finally just go through and reset, uh, my password and get back into it so I could free up my hard drive.
There you go.
Had to delete all those. I did actually have a lot of games on those platforms eating at my hard drive. I freed up basically half my hard drive, so
Jeez.
I mean, I've had Prey on there since I got my computer.
Dang. And then whatever updates that are kind of adding in the background too, like yeah, you can
Yeah.
kind of lose track and realize, oh yeah, the entire hard drive is taken over.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily, Blizzard was clear. I guess when that whole boycott Blizzard thing came on, I was like, you know what? These are all using up. I'm not playing them anyway. I might as well
Right.
clear them up.
You put your foot down there and protest it. Yeah, as lazily as you could. That's
What,
how we do
what are you gonna do? I'm buying loot boxes. What are you gonna do?
it. Alrighty, Gavin. Well, our next story here is about the Switch. We got Nintendo Switch reportedly barely halfway through its life cycle. The IGN's Joe Scribbles has the details here. The Nintendo Switch is apparently barely in the middle of its life cycle. According to reports from Nintendo's latest investor Q&A, the fact was reported by investor advisor David Gibson, who attended the Q&A following Nintendo's latest earnings report, and explains that Nintendo representatives had said it was barely in the middle of the Switch cycle. No change to that view. The Nintendo Switch is just over 3 years old, which would put the expected end of its life cycle at around 2023 at the least. That thinking matches up with Nintendo's other recent successes. Nintendo Wii was released in 2006 and followed by the Wii U in 2012, while Nintendo DS was released in 2004, with the 3DS coming 7 years later in 2011. Switch and its software continues to sell well, with April seeing new records broken for hardware sales, the Animal Crossing New Horizons selling over 11 million copies in 11 days. It's been enough for EA, which once said that its players don't want Switch games, to announce that it will release multiple games for the console this year. Yeah, so we got enough blood here in the veins for the Switch, so it's pretty exciting here. As much as we do want like a reiteration, a Switch Pro, it makes sense to just stick rather with Nintendo Switch because it's a hot selling platform. It's like, and it hardware wise, it seems to keep up with what you throw at it.
Right. I do have a feeling this is going to be another case, kind of like the Wii, where they do leave this generation late because
Mm,
it's so popular. I
yep.
feel like, if I remember correctly, the Wii left that generation pretty late, and then it only took a half step anyway. So
Yeah.
be good for them though, man. It's I'm still super happy with my purchase.
Right. I really just use it lately to like download indie games, and then I jump in, play 'em for a bit, and then let it sit again. And I'm fine with that because it's like I like this idea of an indie machine that I just kind of wait for them to release there, play it, and
Yeah.
have my time with it.
I was thinking about that the other day, like when we came over. I think we were talking about like watching a movie or something, using your projector outside. Like, how fun would that be just using our wireless controllers? You know, we could go out there, play Smash with you and your nephew or something. It's just a fun
Yep.
little thing outside. It's perfect console for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. I know it's in hot demand. Like
Right.
the Animal Crossing version of it was like hard to get, and I think it's now sold out. Sold out. That was like a limited edition version, but even like general regular ass Switches are hard to get.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm tempted to jump in Animal Crossing. Like it seems people love it so much online. Like there's so many memes. It's sold so much. It's like, man, I gotta. Maybe there's something here, even though I've never really liked the other ones.
If you've actually played the other ones and not liked them, I
No,
would
never
do
played them.
it. Oh, so you haven't played them? Okay. I have no idea whether you
Yeah,
like them or not because I know you like your sim games.
I
It's
do.
got the tiniest bit of that. But I don't know if you'd like that when it's you're building all this to pay off your debt that you're constantly in and like help make your friends happy with you, which is it's
Yeah,
like
I don't want a real life simulator here. I want to escape.
right. So I have no idea if you'd like it or not. It'd be interesting to see. I'm tempted.
Well,
I'm leaning towards no, but I have no fucking clue.
yeah, and it's a good
If you
gamble
like
for
it,
60
it
bucks.
eats
It's
your
a
whole life. It's all
Yeah, it sounds like a drug or something. It's like you're convincing me to smoke up
there's
in the back alley. It's like I could lose my life here or just walk away. I'm not sure which one.
yeah, yeah. But they couldn't have picked a better time to launch, though. That's the crazy fucking thing.
Yep. Oh yeah. Now, Gavin, my next article here, I want to get some details. So you mentioned on the
Oh,
log here.
there's really not that much to report, but I was just looking into this, and I was It was something I remember thinking. This thought popped up the other day about Outer Wilds, because I remember playing Outer Wilds. I felt it was really good. It was extremely immersive, and just how much more immersive it would be if there were absolutely no load times in that game. And I
Mm,
really think that game was not so complex that they couldn't have hidden the load screens into stuff. Like when you're flying around, just have cool effects going on. They could have. I feel like it was very, very doable for that game, and they didn't do it. And so I thought to myself, what if Cyberpunk have that? Or what other games don't have load screens? Like God of War has no load screens except for when you die.
it's true.
Um, I found some other ones on there. Apparently, Dark Souls doesn't have load screens unless you quick travel, which I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
Super cool. But yeah, Cyberpunk, they're saying there's going to be no load times in Cyberpunk, and I think that's just going to make that game that much more uh, immersive, and that makes me
Yeah,
super happy. On top of all the other complicated, over the top technical shit that they're doing in this game to begin with, and it surprises me again that they're getting that level of fidelity without a solid state drive as standard, like it will be
right.
in next gen. I think we're going to see that all the time. I believe in next gen games because right now it's very hard. So we'll
Now
see.
you mentioned a good point. They can do this by at least with current gen stuff because they don't have the super fast hard drives right now.
Mhm.
Releasing on current gen is that they're going to have to hide the loading. How would you imagine they hide the loading to make it so it's like a you don't experience that loading when it's an open world kind of thing?
There are a lot of ways you can do it. It kind of turns out they've this streaming technology has sort of always been a thing. Like even when I was watching the showcase of uh glitches in Ocarina of Time, there's so much stuff because it is hot loading, even though it doesn't feel like you're streaming in the environments. They even do that with these smaller chunks of environments. So
Hmm.
it's definitely always, especially with open world games, streaming has always been a thing to a certain amount, but there is this certain amount that they had to break it down traditionally to keep things manageable. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's not manageable, and that's why people don't necessarily do it more. I really don't have enough experience with it, but yeah, there are a lot of tricks, hallways you see with God of War. You know,
Yep.
going through tight corridors or something like that. They slow it down, they load it. Um, I was looking into it a little more. Batman Arkham Asylum, I guess you have a radio conversation, you'd slow down to a walk.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure.
So there are lots of tricks. There was definitely a Harry Potter game I think we've talked about where they slow you down from a run to a walk
For
until
no reason.
right. Or you think like Metroid, right? They got those doorways that take a second to open. So
True.
games have been doing this for years, but it's been hard to really have things be more open and really work kind of to the standard. So I think it'll be interesting seeing something this ambitious really pull that off. It's going to be really impressive, in my opinion.
You know what? That sounds awesome. One part that scares me about that idea with them is that the driving. That's where it like makes it harder for them to hide stuff. Is the fact that you can potentially drive anywhere, whatever speeds. That's where I just have fears with them becoming too ambitious. Unless they make the driving to where not all roads are on the surface, it forces you underground, stuff like that. But that's where I feel like. But I would trust their, their brains to handle that problem. But it's like that's where I fear that.
Well, you look at Grand Theft Auto as a game that basically does it. Like
It's
that,
true.
especially the newest one, I really don't remember any load times aside from dying or entering a specific mission. There are some buildings where, yeah, you load when you go in, but for the most part, there's no load. So I think if they can do it, these guys can do it. But
It's just so much detail. That's where I'm like, man, it's so beautiful, so much going on, so many NPCs, and then you add driving to the, at 60 miles an hour. It's like, fuck, man, it's something's gonna give. But I would trust that they know what they're doing.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting too when you take into the extent that they have certain degree of destructible environments. Not everything's going to be destructible, but they have a little bit of that. Oh, that's another thing I'd love to bring up. Speaking of destructible, that chaos engine for Unreal,
Oh
um,
right.
it's just baked into that. So I was watching a little bit of it, and it sort of seems like it's not super dynamic in gameplay, right? You're not hitting something and it breaks apart super dynamically. They bake in the breakable bits, and it was interesting seeing how it does it. There are bigger bits on top, and then smaller ones on bottom, and the way stuff can sort of more dynamically destroy, and they show off like blowing up buildings and stuff. So it'll be really curious to see with next gen consoles how that's all going to look.
Yeah.
uh it's pretty pretty neat. So, like, you think about when we were playing through, what was it called? Stranglehold?
Right. On
Yeah,
PS3.
Stranglehold had that, yeah, all that crazy destructibility, and that was such hard work, whereas now you can just pop in and you press a button, and now that whole thing's destructible and you're good to go.
Yep.
So all that hard work is just, yeah, button press now, which is crazy. That's the way things really need to be in this industry when we're making all these tools where something just becomes a button, or any
Right.
old idiot can do it. That's so important because a lot of your designers are any old idiot. So if they can do more work and leave your coders to do other stuff, you're just going to be making these amazing games. And that's even something I was really proud of with the team making Halo, is they were talking about their tools to make tools. Any old idiot can make these tools now to make tools to make the game better. So um, it's really awesome what these people are doing. But yeah, chaos physics, I think that's super neat. We're going to see what happens. I don't know how much it's going to affect Fortnite. Apparently, it's in there, but nothing's
Interesting.
really changed. People say the ripples on like your parachutes or whatever are a little bit better, but that's
Okay.
really all people have noticed.
Once they do decide to implement like more realistic physics like that, that's going to kind of change that whole building aesthetic to it. And I'm excited because I think that makes it more interesting to me. The fact that these buildings, the things you craft, can't just defy logic like they have been. So, and maybe that's a whole separate game mode. They keep the more traditional, Fortnite gameplay, and then they have the actual realistic physics, which it could be awesome.
I really don't think they're gonna put that much into it, like, because they need that game to run on everything from
That's
your
true.
Xbox 360 down to your phone, or I don't know if it's playable on 360. I just threw out the last Xbox I bought. But and I was even watching when they were talking about the chaos physics and they were trying to figure out what's changed. I noticed when you actually do destroy a piece of cover or like something you've built, it actually plays an animation. It's not some sort of particle effect.
Okay,
Specifically, like with the slope, it'll destroy the same way every time, and I'm sure it does that when it's assembling. So that saves a lot of uh, effort on your PC. So I really don't
I
know what their
imagine.
plan is for this, but I don't think they're going to change it in a way that changes the way the game feels. They're going to make sure it feels like Fortnite because that's what people want to play.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
we'll
you wouldn't want to fuck with that formula.
right, right.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited. That's a super cool tech. I did watch a little bit of it was like a building tower that they were experimenting with, like destroying parts of it, and the bricks just crumbled super realistically. It's awesome, man. I can't wait for this kind of stuff to start being implemented and we can see it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something we're also not going to see for a long time. This is Elder Scrolls 6, Gavin. This is in the news in the past couple of days. A reminder that Elder Scrolls 6 is very far away. This is of Michael McWhorter from Polygon. We're not going to hear anything about the follow-up to Skyrim for a good long while, according to Bethesda. With the goal of setting expectations so important right now, Bethesda Senior VP of Marketing and Communications Pete Hines said on Twitter over the weekend that fans should probably expect the Elder Scrolls 6 details years from now. Responding to a fan who asked for details on Elder Scrolls 6, Hines said, "It's after Starfield, which you pretty much know nothing about. So if you're coming at me for details now and not years from now, I'm failing to properly manage your expectations." Starfield is, of course, the other Bethesda Game Studios game that was teased in June 2018 at that year's E3. We know very little about Starfield 2. We know it's a space epic and the first new franchise in 25 years from the developers of the Elder Scrolls and Fallout series. But outside of the teaser trailer, official details are scant. On Twitter, Hines said we'd find out more about Starfield someday. As far as what's next for Bethesda with Doom Eternal out of the way, we have Elder Scrolls Online, Greymoor expansion coming later for PC and console, and Elder Scrolls Blades is coming out of early access soon and to Switch and to the Nintendo Switch this spring. Yeah, so no Starfield news soon. When do you imagine we will see some kind of announcements, more
They
teasers?
didn't say new Starfield news soon, did they?
No, you're right. No, they said no Starfield news soon at all. But like, when do you kind of pontificate we would
No
see?
Elder Scrolls news soon. What they said.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I'm mixing myself up. Yeah, because Elder Scrolls isn't until after Starfield, and we're not even close to Starfield apparently.
Mhm.
But I'm
Man,
excited for Starfield. I didn't know it was a thing until I think we were watching, was it Game Awards or E3 together, and they
yeah.
teased that, and I was like, I had no idea that this was a fucking thing. But apparently, people are highly anticipating this.
It's their worst kept secret. I mean, it's one of those things where it sounds to me like the game has been basically designed, ready to go. They had the idea, they were super excited about it for years and years and years and years and years, but they always said the technology wasn't there to make it. and so they've only started development on it because the technology is finally there, which makes me wonder what the fuck is the technology. To me, when they said that, that meant to me Stadia or streaming the Xbox thing, some sort of thing where you're doing something in the cloud that could never be done before.
Mm.
That's what that said to me, because it was similar timing, so that they could do something, maybe some truly massive MMO like a Star Citizen, but bigger and more crowded. Which Star Citizen's getting fucking crowded as is. That game's
Mm.
ridiculous. And I actually saw an announcement of a very similar sounding game recently, albeit it was way ugly. Uh, but it, I have no idea. I'd really love to know. I'd also love to know how much time Elder Scrolls spends in pre-production. I know
Yeah.
with Oblivion, they talked about how much time they spent studying like stalactites and stalagmites and all these natural things. Uh, I really have no. Do they spend just tons and tons of time designing this game before they even put a foot down on development? Maybe that's a smart idea. If you have it all designed and you just develop as fast as you can. That being said, they're still working with one of the shittiest engines in the industry and then not fixing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with Starfield, you would have to hope that they have really, from the ground up, reinvigorated, modeled that whole engine, or they're doing something else that's just a new 2.0 version of that engine. I'm not sure, but for Starfield, they have to kind of bring out all the bells and whistles because it's something they couldn't do in the past, and now they can. So yeah, I would have that same ideas that you share, where it's like maybe they were waiting for some kind of really innovative tech, but it can't be tied to that old engine. That's for sure.
Right, right. And that's the thing. Uh I don't think they can, and I'm not entirely sure they can rebuild it. They'd really have to rebuild it from the ground up. It really to me sounds like fundamental issues. And I don't
Mm.
think they will, which it bugs me because you played the Outer Worlds, right? And it's like I think that was made with Unreal or something, and you felt what a Bethesda game could be
Yep.
on a not shit engine. And it was weird having that game not being held back by its own engine.
Right.
Uh, and that was neat. I barely had any bugs in that game.
Yeah, I didn't get to finish that game, but yeah, you're right. It was very much like they had that soul of a Fallout, of of a Skyrim, but like engine wise, but it worked. It looked beautiful and also like ran well. So yeah, it's possible.
It would need to see them better empowered, and I think they could do that with Unreal super easily.
Mm. I think they do also kind of hopefully read the tea leaves and take a break from announcing stuff, especially with the negative stuff with Fallout 76. They really pull back and make sure that they have honed in on what they want before they start announcing it, before they release footage. Yeah, I'm really hoping, especially this year, since they're not doing the Bethesda announcement like they've been doing the past couple of years, they're not needing like they need to announce something, and really just kind of wait till you have something to show and then come out. Yeah, which I'm hoping they will do. Now, Gavin, let's put our next gen imagination hats on. We have some more rumors and news, and let's kind of imagine what's going to happen. We got some news out of PS5. So this is a pair of industry experts say Xbox Series X will be $400 to undercut PS5's price. This is Brett Makedonsky of Destructoid. So this is a good size one here. So Jeff Keighley recently hosted a new mini episode of his Bonus Round podcast, and two of his guests were industry analyst Michael Pachter and former EA COO Peter Moore. Yeah, the Pac-Man. In the podcast, they start to discuss Xbox Series X and PS5 pricing, prompting Pachter to theorize that he believes Microsoft is waiting Sony out. From what I've seen, Sony's going to have to charge $500 for the PS5, and Microsoft has a big balance sheet, Pachter says. If they want to cut the price by $100, just price below the PS5 and subsidize the first 10 million units, they will. Series X will launch very likely sometime in November, and very likely $400. Moore chimed in, what both companies are going through right now is asking how much can we afford to lose in the first 12 to 18 months? What is our attach rate of software to hardware? What are we willing to do in 1 year, and 1, 2, and 3 to hit 10 million units, in year 1, 2, and 3 to hit 10 million units? Moore also added that Microsoft's in a good overall position right now in terms of its stock price. However, while Microsoft may have the runway to take an initial loss on Series X production, Nadella's decision will be informed by whether he thinks he can convince shareholders that launching at a low price point and high overall sales is worth the short-term risk, and decrease profits despite setting Xbox up for the success in the long term. It might be a tough sell because shareholders are always cagey about anything that affects the immediate future of stock price. Yeah, Gavin, we're imagining here. It's we're kind of like grabbing at the walls here for some kind of news. But what do you think of the idea of selling Series X at $400 compared to like a $500 PS5? Is that possible?
I mean, I don't think we've had consoles that cheap in a while, sans the Switch.
Right.
So I don't think it's reasonable. That being said, Michael Pachter is, he's a very famous analyst for a reason. He's been right so many times. He's occasionally got it way the fuck wrong, but
Right.
for the most part, he's got a good head on his shoulders. So I think if he thinks it's possible, I think it's possible. I don't think it's reasonable, and I don't think it'll happen, but I don't know. How do you kind of, I know you've been like, every time we talk about this, I feel like the amount of money you say it's going to cost goes lower, and pretty soon they're just going to be giving it away.
Are we not on The Price is Right? I'm trying to go for the dollar amount here. No, I think the $400 is insane, but even if that gives them whatever edge in the next console war, I feel like, how do you really make up those costs with selling it for $100 less, especially given the tech? Apparently there's a crazy amount of tech. I mean, they've revealed the tech in the Series X, and it sounds nuts. If you were to build a PC for this price, it would be easily $1,000. Of course, this is console manufacturing, it's different, but I don't see how they can really afford to sell it at $400 just to undercut the PS5. I feel like realistically they have to be at $500. Same with the PS5. I feel like it's going to be at $500, and I'm fine with that price point given the hardware involved. So I'm not sure who they're trying to appeal to. It's just like, keep those next gen consoles being the high end versions. You have current gen stuff, which is still really cheap, so you can keep your current gen model or your current gen console. A lot of these games within the next year or two have that like leeway where you can play it on current gen with like lower specs and stuff. So I don't see the need to undercut at such a low rate and risk whatever millions of dollars they would lose by selling at $400.
And I should say the Xbox 360 launched at $400. How much was the
PS3 was like, there was a $500 and $600 model, but that was the infamous fuck up they did at that launch. That, granted, they had a Blu-ray player, which was very expensive at that time, but still
came as a total shock. So you got $200 more, but to be fair, you had 20% more console, just
size wise.
Size wise. And fan wise, you had 3,000% more console with that fan. That would
now 360, they kind of separated their costs by having that hard drive unit be a separate thing, because that was another like $150 to get that HD DVD thing.
That version was, I think, the non hard drive version, the cheap one, I think they just said was $300.
Okay, so, sure, but I mean like that.
Go ahead.
I mean that like next gen disc thing. They still try to compete with their own like next gen disc model, which was the HD DVD, and that wasn't bundled with PS3. It was expensive, but they also bundled the whole Blu-ray software stuff in the actual unit.
True, and they also had those fancy cell processors, which I don't know how expensive those were to make.
Right.
But
yeah,
giant enemy crabs. Giant enemy crabs.
I don't know what that's a reference to. Is it a Simpsons episode I never watched?
Have you forgotten the old ways?
Apparently.
No, there's in the original big PlayStation 3 press conference, there was somebody showing some sort of feudal Japanese game, and they're going through and said, yeah, it's all based off of real Japanese historical events. And here we have giant enemy crabs. It's just a big what the fuck moment.
Like a bad segue, or they just introduced it into the actual like engine?
No, just in the game. Yeah. Yep. It was a weird time. Yeah, the fact that it followed up what he had said like that was he also said it was such gusto.
I'm watching this footage. Yeah, it's very, you're right, feudal Japan, and then out of nowhere this crab jumps out and destroys everything. That's nuts. Okay.
Well, you gotta flip it over and attack its weak point.
Well, yeah, and we're doing is like theorizing, what they're gonna do. I mean, we're gonna find out soon some of the details here, but it's I feel like asking $500 for these next gen consoles is fair, because granted, like with inflation and stuff, and also what's inside the boxes, that seems like a standard price.
Also, like on here. Oh, I'm on the wrong story. It's looking at a guy
Gotcha.
named Pavel Jandik.
Gotcha. Well, I thought my name was interesting,
Game's
but
over. I'm a Pavel Jandik.
well, let's. The next one was a the next one was a segue to more like. The next one I had here was like a segue to more PS5 stuff. This is here's when Sony's PS5 reveal event will probably be. So keep that next gen theorizing hat on, Gavin. This is Forbes.com. Paul Tassi writes, 2 different industry sources are saying roughly the same thing about when Sony's doing its next, presumably large PS5 event. VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb says that the event will be June 4th. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier has said a more general window from early to mid-June. But the point is, somewhere around a month from now, Sony has left far more mystery in place about the PS5 and its upcoming launch, and we've seen more from Microsoft to date. While it's not terribly important in the grand scheme of things, we still have not seen the actual box design of the unit, only the controller. We also really don't know what games are launching with PS5 other than a few third-party titles like recently revealed Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So more kind of, scuttlebutt. But you'd have to imagine we're going to see some PS5 stuff soon. Otherwise, we're getting into October, November, and we still don't know what the fuck this thing looks like or costs or what's on it.
I'd be curious to know Guerrilla's role in this, because they were was Killzone a launch title for the PlayStation 3?
Yeah, Killzone. I forget the end of that. It was like Killzone 4 technically or whatever.
No, 4 was for the PlayStation. Oh,
that's what I thought you meant.
4. Oh yeah, I meant for the 3. So yeah, we had. I think it was Killzone 2 was for the PlayStation 3. Mm-hmm. Killzone 4 was for this. So they've done it twice. It's been not a super long time since whatchamacallit came out. But that being said, from what our understanding is, the engine they're using can make games incredibly fast. They've got a good engine, assuming they're making another big open world, which they may not be. It sounds like it's really good at making open world games. So
gotcha.
Mayhaps.
Right. No, I would say that that's a possibility, because you want to launch with a strong first person title in theory, and we haven't seen a Killzone game since the launch of the PS4. The head of Sony America now is that ex Guerrilla head of the studio, so maybe he has some influence there. I mean, it feels like it's leaning towards that direction. We're not going to see Horizon Zero Dawn for a while, actually come out. So like as far as launch, I would say it's safe to. I would love to see an actual Killzone brought back for PS5, and I imagine it looks super beautiful too.
Or I don't know about a Killzone, but like just another Guerrilla game.
Oh, gotcha.
If these guys just want to make new IPs, I will drink. I don't know how this is drinking.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some Steam Summer Sale leaks here. We have apparently the Summer Sale is a big deal. It's happening soon, apparently, as these leaks have laid out. Steam Summer Sale 2020 dates have leaked. Sheriff Saeed of VG247.com writes, "We're a little under a month away from Steam's big summer sale. Steam's first major sale every year is undoubtedly its summer sale, and this year's version of the event will kick off in July. The 2020 Steam Summer Sale will be live June 25th to July 9th, a 2-week period. Of course, Valve did not actually announce those dates, as is always the case. Instead, the Steam caretaker has communicated them to Steam developers, and someone inevitably leaked the information. Steam database's Pavel Dejundik, yep, that's that name you're warning me about, dropped the news on Twitter. Apparently, the dates were initially leaked by Chinese developers before others corroborated. Yeah, Gavin, you excited for this Steam sale? Do they always get you every sale?
Not as much as they used to, but they still get me. There'll be something up on there. It's also, as far as leaks go, this is definitely one of the most like, who cares? Like, we know it's coming.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. It's not a spoiler. Like, I actually had a coworker tell me a spoiler for Last of Us 2 today, so I don't know
what?
Didn't even ask permission to drop it on me, so that was a neat one.
Just out of nowhere, it's like, oh, you hear that this?
Yeah.
I thought the crowd in your like work environment is older crowd.
No, they're we have some younger guys, and I guess the 2 guys who are in the cubicles next to where mine normally is, like one of them watched the whole thing and he explained it to the other guy.
Because he's an asshole?
I don't know. It was just sort of weird to me.
I can't be his friend. There's no way I can like accept that.
I mean, it's kind of nice that I didn't have to hear him explain it all there because my current office temporarily is across the building. So I was
Whoa,
glad I didn't have it be non-optionally told to me. But that
jeez
was neat.
Louise.
So it's a weird spoiler. I don't know if it's actually true or not.
Ah. Is that when
But
the aliens arrive and somehow Ghostbusters actually have to help them go back in time? Is that the one? I've heard that same one.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely on that. You should definitely watch Video Game Donkey's spoiler explanation video. But no, it was anyway. So that was
That's strange.
from we've gone from spoilers that don't matter to
Yeah.
spoilers that do matter. But that being said, to me, like it luckily it doesn't matter that much because I haven't.
Right.
Uh,
You're
the
very
only
far removed.
Yeah, the only thing that's spoilery to me is from the trailers for the game. I now understand that Joel is alive at the end of Last of Us 1, which I super assumed by the time you get to the end of Last of Us 1. It's like there's no way he's alive. That's
Mm.
what I figured.
You
But
never
maybe
know. You haven't played it, and that's another reason why you should play it to experience the secret
yeah,
super duper ending that reveals something else.
now I got a weird spoiler for me. Yeah. But yeah,
Nice.
I get
Well, I
there.
know with the Steam leak, of this inevitable sale, I guess more interested now that I'm building a PC for the first time. I was telling you over the
Right.
weekend, I bought very few components, but like I'm getting towards that whole thing, and I'm excited to jump in and have a huge library that I'll never tackle, just like everyone else.
Right, right. It does make me think of a never mind.
Another spoiler.
Well, it was like this wife's like looking at these bills. She goes, "Honey, what's a Radeon 265K?" And he's like, "Oh, it's government taxes." Taxes. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's one of those. Do you kind of know about like compatibility when you're buying these things? Because that's why I'm always terrified. Is you can just buy two things and not have them work, or
Oh
like
yeah.
that's why with my current PC, I can't just plug in a new motherboard or a new graphics card because maybe my motherboard won't be compatible, or definitely my power supply is not powerful enough to handle it. So that's
Gotcha.
always the
Yeah,
nerve.
that was my hesitation as well. And I went through a lot of like research on PCPartPicker.com and to making sure like builds work. And also, so there's Callum who I do the PlayStation podcast with. He's big into tech, and so he like understands at least stuff that's incompatible. And he was kind of like coaching me through it. Some people on Twitter I was talking to like at least recommended like certain motherboards and things like that. So I feel like I have a general understanding of what at least clicks together and will work together. And we'll see as far as the actual building goes, but I'm excited. It's a whole world I've never really jumped into, but always wanted to.
I can show. Well, you're gonna have to show yourself the world.
Right. That's the thing with the internet. There's so much stuff out there and like YouTube videos, and so I'm confident I can hopefully not fuck it up, but we'll see.
Yeah. What was the thing you were doing to check compatibility on things? What was that? What was that called?
So PCPartPicker.com will let you like drop in motherboards and graphics cards, and it keeps track of your like power consumption, like, and so it makes sure that the components don't have like that they're compatible or not compatible, or vice versa. Like it makes sure that they double checks like physical size of the cards and like just like restrictions on motherboard stuff to make sure that it actually will function.
That's pretty darn cool. And I'm sure that's probably super up to date because you got all those people, they're buying these new cards the second they're out on the
Sure.
market, plugging them into 1,000 different. So if there is going to be an issue, they're probably going to report it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, in theory, and yeah, the site seems like pretty legit, and like people update all the time. There's also they accurately like price components, so they find you the cheapest one. That's whether it's Newegg or Amazon, that kind of thing. I did try, or like I took it seriously, maybe 3 years ago, to build a PC, but there was that whole boom with like graphics cards that people were using for like Bitcoin, and so like all that stuff was skyrocketing. Now it kind of has gone down a bit.
Now's a really good time to buy. Yeah.
It seems like it.
Graphics cards. But yeah, 2 years ago, that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare. Whew.
Yeah, so I was definitely like exhausted dealing with that, so I just kind of let it go, and it seems like now it's back to normal, and then we'll see with Elon Musk's next currency. Maybe that brings it up again, and people are mining for that, whatever that fucking Mars dollars are, or whatever the hell. How do you make them?
No, it's Bezos bucks, dude.
Yeah,
Bezos.
Bezos bucks. Yeah, you get your Amazon Alexa, and somehow you make coins through her. Yeah, I don't know how that
She's
works.
already
But...
making coins out of you. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're making money off of some way, somehow.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty, Gavel. Yeah, that's all we got for this week. Yeah, you know what? I'm really gonna try and play Titanfall 2. I've always the past couple of years, like I really want to take it seriously, jump in. I'm gonna actually try and get that and play through it.
That's EA, right?
Yeah, EA. Well, I'm pretty sure they have their own like PC client thing. I know I have it on PS4, but
is it Origin? I want to say
Origin. Yeah.
Download that shit right now. The only thing I don't feel like doing is updating my credit card info in there. But I'm super excited. That game, like seriously, the campaign's supposed to be really amazing.
I always hear it is. Yep.
Yeah, I know Mark Brown of. Do you watch what in the shit is it called? Game Maker's Toolkit.
I do on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he claimed it as the best campaign since Half-Life 2, which is a hell of a.
That's high praise.
It's high praise to a lot of people besides me. So
I'll say I loved Half-Life 2 campaign, but yeah.
One day I will finish it. One day, which is it's such an annoying thing because it's not even that long.
No,
I think. And
you've experienced like Ravenholm, like you've gone through that part of the campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've never gotten to the powered up gravity gun.
That's towards the end.
Yeah, like I think our one of our high school buddies like loaded up just to show me what I was fucking.
Yeah.
So
see, that's one of my things with this PC build too. It's like down the line, hopefully very soon, I've got to get, now that I will hopefully have a rig that can handle VR, getting the cheapest possible VR unit so I can play Half-Life Alyx. Like that's also one of my goals here.
That was the plan this whole time.
That and TurboTax, I can do at lightning speed now. I can get my taxes done, and Microsoft Word, yeah. Whatever the hell you use PCs for, whatever the hell you use them for, but
literally everything.
Okay.
You can use it for this podcast. You could definitely use it for your video editing.
That's true. Yeah, editing faster and streaming, all that. Yeah.
Yeah, if they have any sort of this shit's not on sale. I go bullshit.
I'll send you the link. I found it on Twitter, so I'll send you. It's like an Amazon link or something.
What the untrustworthiness? So that was Digital Deluxe. You said Digital Deluxe, right?
PC version, I'm seeing the Ultimate Edition is $449 on Xbox Live Gold, and then the PC version is $299. And the link is actually in the doc, so it's the PC version. It's right next to it. If you open that, it's like an Amazon link, and it shows me $299 for the online game code for Titanfall 2. So you buy through.
What?
You buy through Amazon. Looks like.
You're talking. What the?
It's just an online code, man. I'll send it to you in the. Yeah, I'll do it on Discord. So I'm sending it to you right now. The actual link that I found. And that should take you to buying it on Amazon. The actual digital code, and somehow that works with Origin. Or downloads a virus or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that virus for the. There we go.
Yeah, so try it out. Hopefully, yeah. But I'm not sure how long it takes to complete the campaign, but we'll see.
I don't think it was terribly long.
Yeah.
But it's definitely super fucking varied. Everything's just batshit bananas from one set piece to another. So
gotcha. Yeah, cool. We'll end it there, man. Where can they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter.
Amongst the billions of Twitter accounts. And you can find us on Plastic Heart Pod as well on Twitter. And that's it for us this week. We'll see you next week.
Drunk Devs. Yes, on Twitter.
Drunk Devs. There you go, yeah. All right, that's it for us this week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.